Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. My name is Vineet Malhotra, and during his Sri Lanka tour, Prime Minister Modi visited the Anuradhapuram, and of course, this was an accompaniment by Sri Lankan President Anuradhapura Disanaike. Prime Minister Modi offered prayers at the Jaya Sri Mahabodhi Temple and then inaugurated the new signal system for Sri Lanka's northern railway line. Anuradhapura is a city of immense historical and cultural significance. Situated in a north-central province, the city remains a cornerstone of the island nation's political history as well. But that's not all. It also has a special connection to India. Designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, it served as the ancient capital of Sri Lanka. It was founded by Anuradha, a minister of King Vijaya in the 6th century BC. Anuradhapura was established as the capital by King Pandu Kabaya in 377 BC, and the city remained the political and religious heart of Sri Lanka for the next 1,000 years. Anuradhapuram is also home to some of the holiest Buddhist sites in Sri Lanka. The introduction of Buddhism to the island in the 3rd century BC had a profound impact on the region's cultural and religious landscape. It was during the reign of King Devanam Piyatissa that Buddhism spread across Sri Lanka. Indian Emperor Ashoka, who embraced Buddhism around 250 BCE, sent his son Prince Mahendra to this place to propagate the faith. Later, Ashoka also sent his daughter Princess Sangamitra along with a group of bhikkhunis to Sri Lanka. She is believed to have brought a sapling from the Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya, under which Gautama Buddha is said to have attained enlightenment. This sacred sapling was planted in Anuradhapura and continues to attract thousands of devotees to this day. The ancient city is adorned with grand stupas, monasteries and historical relics. This shared past was referred to by Prime Minister Modi while thanking President Disanaike. While doing so, he reaffirmed that India will always remain a trusted friend in Sri Lanka's journey of progress. We'll talk about this with our guest. Joining us on the show at this point in time is Chandima Veerakodi, Member of Parliament from Sri Lanka. Mr. Sumit P, Senior Political Commentator, is also joining us on the program at this point in time. Jehan Pereira, Executive Director of the National Peace Council of Sri Lanka, is with us on the show as well. Dr. Steemal Fernando, Advisor to New Regional Diplomacy from Sri Lanka, is also joining us. And last but by no means the least, Mr. Utpal Kaul, historian, is also with us on the program. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Mr. Veerakodi, I'll begin with you, sir. I hope you can hear me. Okay, he's not here with us right now. Let me, in fact, start off by asking Mr. Sumit Peer a question. Sumit, well, both these countries have had, a very exciting, a very, very cozy past. Not to forget that, our texts, including the Ramayana, galore with the glory that Sri Lanka befittingly adorned on Lord Rama's journey into Sri Lanka for whatever reasons it may have been. But the fact of the matter is that even while these geopolitical outreaches have their own cornerstones in economy, in stability, and of course not to forget China, the fact of the matter is that India does not have a partner like Sri Lanka. Even if you look at the subcontinent, their relationship is pretty much not like any other relationship that we share with some of our neighbors as well, be it Nepal, Bangladesh or Pakistan or whatever. Sri Lanka and India have been, in the true sense, been allies, just the way America and Canada were, perhaps.
Vinny, thank you very much for having me on your show. Beautiful question. Well, look, when you talk of Sri Lanka, the relation goes to thousands of years back and to the ancient texts which stand testimony to the fact that there was a sound relation between the two. And even in all these 1,000 years, we have not tried to invade Sri Lanka. We have not tried to make it part of India. We have not tried to influence the culture of Sri Lanka. And we have not interfered in the politics of Sri Lanka. That is the beautiful part. We have always stood by our Sri Lankan brothers and sisters. At the push comes to shove, there were political challenges. Still, we sent the IPK up there. I mean, there were some political sensitivities involved. Still, the IPK was sent there. And even when the Sri Lanka was in problem, when the leaders had deserted it and the inflation was at, what, 70%? And, we had scored a population of around 27 million, doing a GDP of $74 billion, and economy was really going down the drain. Now, incidentally, at that point of time, there are 3 countries which had debt. India, China, and Japan. But you must have not heard about the Indian debt. You must have not have heard about the Japanese debt. But the Chinese debt became a problem. And when push comes to shove, when they asked for help, China literally backed out. China never came to help. We offered the credit lines. We helped the people of Sri Lanka. We gave the money. We gave the medicines. We gave a lot of grants, lot of create, and a lot of loans. We were not trying to take advantage of the situation. Okay, write a port to us. Right, nominate the seaport to us. Give us this airport. We never tried that thing of any order because there's a civilizational connect. Our relationship is not opportunistic. Look, Prime Minister Modi going to the ancient temples, taking the blessings from the Buddhist monks, visiting this Anuradhapura temple, and the president of Sri Lanka is along with him. This talks about where we share the shared cultured values. And I've been always advising, and I have been numerous times to Sri Lanka. And last time when I went, by that time the Kandy was open. Before that, the Kandy you could not go there, but Kandy is a beautiful place. Now there are a lot of places where Sri Lanka has immense treasure in tourism, in fisheries, in so many things. And if they could kind of merge their economy with the Indian economy, I can tell you one thing: there will not be a day when Sri Lankans need to really look back and India needs to look back. Second thing, look at Jordan. The currency is pegged to US dollar. Look at, for example, United Arab Emirates, where is currency pegged to? Currency is pegged to US dollar. So think of a scenario, if Sri Lankans can think of something like that, merge their supply chains, buying cycles with India and peg their currency to the rupee. I'm telling you the kind of fiasco they had been there will never be there. And one important point, Vineet, 4 times Prime Minister Modi went there. You know what is common in last 4 times? There were 4 presidents. But there's only one man common, that is Prime Minister Modi in all the 4 times. So our intent doesn't matter if is it a right-leaning party, left-leaning party, center party, it doesn't matter because we are committed to the people of Sri Lanka. That love, that brotherlyhood, those thousands of years of ties are a testimony to what we are doing and what we have given or what we have kind of stood up when the need comes here. And I think the present president is also understanding that, though allegedly his leaning is left, but all the actions what I'm seeing is it doesn't specify that. First visit to India, and Modi ji was the first international leader to go there, and now the MOU on defense is signed, which is again a big achievement. And this was all kept under wraps, Vineet. Nobody knew it around 3-4 days back, and we didn't have an idea about it. But all these things happening, I think people of Sri Lanka, the government of Sri Lanka, the people of India, and the government of India, we have immense potential. We have the greatest potential to work together, and there is a part of our heritage culture which is a part of Sinhalese heritage and culture, Tamil heritage and culture, and there Christian heritage and culture there, and we as Indians are very proud to own it. We as Indians are very proud to share this shared culture and values with our brothers and sisters in Sri Lanka. This relation is based on trust, friendship, and mutual respect. There are no gains. It's not we want your land, we want your legitimacies, or we want you anything like that. While if you look at China, they are 3 things. Any country: land, legitimacy, ladies. If I can be very candid and blunt, that is what China does. If you compare with India, nothing like that has ever happened in the history of India, and nothing ever will ever happen, even 100 years or 1,000 years down the line. That is the difference would bring to the table. I think Modi ji has turned the stones. It is for the now the government of Sri Lanka to really come up, and let's not have that Rajapaksa kind of a fiasco where the leaders have disappeared and they have left the country to mercy of anybody and whoever who is left. Let's not get into that scenario. Let's look at cementing this relation, Vineet, which will carry for next 5 or 10 decades, and let's prosper mutually. We are not interested in your land, your politics, or anything. We just want your love, trust, and friendship. That's a very clear message from India. And this message of Prime Minister Modi, we stand with the people of Sri Lanka. I think that sends a lot of message because 4 presidents change, but Modi ji's intent and intentions for the people of Sri Lanka and for the betterment of Sri Lanka, that never changed, Vineet. That's the moot point here.
Absolutely. Great points there. Mr. Pereira, taking a leaf out of what Sumit said, that this is a relationship which has stood the test of time, but there have been a little ups and downs, and those ups and downs have obviously come about in the way China has tried to influence its own bullish behavior towards Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka has resisted it, and those excerpts of resistance are in fact very recent and very evident as well. What do you make of Prime Minister Modi's undying hope in this alliance? Mr. Pereira? Okay. Let me open Mr. Utpal Kaul into this conversation as well. Mr. Kaul, keeping the history in mind and keeping the geopolitical angle and its nuances and its sensitivity in mind as well, how important are these visits by Prime Minister Modi?
Uh, Thank you very much, Vinitji. Um, I call this as a historical visit. And I totally agree with Sumit Pirji has explained it very nicely. Our relationship are thousands of years of old. And I think we know about the Ramayana, although it was a war, but before that also we have relation before Ramayana with Sri Lanka. And lastly, we have to say that we had very good relation during 2,500 years back, 2,400 years back when Buddhism was there. And it was Ashoka who sent his son and then his daughter Sangamitra to Sri Lanka to spread Buddhism, the Buddha's message, Buddha's Dharma, and Buddha's Sangha. And she took the Bodhi tree, branch of Bodhi tree, which was planted in Anuradhapura. And I may tell you here for viewers that Ashoka's youngest wife, she was angry with Ashoka and she cut the Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya. It was two traders from Anuradhapura. They bought the branch of tree which was planted by Sangamitra in Anuradhapura. So they planted again in Bodh Gaya. So the present Bodh Gaya tree, which millions of people around the world go for the worship, is from the branch of Anuradhapura. Some 2000 years back. So we have a very, very close cultural, civilizational, and I call it historical relations with Sri Lanka. We have shared our past together with friendship, with love, with compassion, and with good trade also. So Modi ji is taking that leap and taking it forward. And we had. We have seen what China has done, and China is totally exposed in Sri Lanka, and now it is exposed slowly in Maldives also. It was only at Sumit Pirji explained nicely how India came to rescue of Sri Lanka, because we don't need any profit from them, we don't need anything from them, but we have that civilizational connect which we want. It's a kind of a duty. Sri Lanka is a neighboring country, but it is like a brother for us. And so now the signal in the railway signal, the modern, which India has role to play in there. And so I think in fisheries, in different departments, and also tourism, there are lot many Indians who travel to Sri Lanka for tourism, but at the same time, thousands of Sri Lankans, Buddhists as well as Tamilians, come to India as yatris. We have we call them Buddhist footprints, seven Buddhist footprints like Bodh Gaya, Shravasti, Kushinagar, Vaishali, and these places and Sarnath, you can see thousands and thousands of Sri Lankans come to pay homage, because Bharat is the land of Buddha, and the Sri Lankans also have a lot of respect for these places, and they come here for pilgrimage. So we need to be together, and we have to develop our cultural relations. We have to have civilizational connect, and at the same time, Modi is trying to have very close relationship in economic field also, and that will give boost to Sri Lankan economy, and the people will have good life. Thank you.
Let me also open Mr. Dr. Fernando rather and get his point of view on this important connection that India and Sri Lanka have always shared. Mr. Fernando, whenever Sri Lanka has been in trouble, they have always counted upon India, and India has always come through. In fact, the crisis that happened a few years ago, India was the first one to volunteer in terms of help, not only in terms of any supplies but also dollars. And that is something I'm very sure that Sri Lanka will never forget. And subsequently, we also got to see how Sri Lanka made it very clear to China as well that regardless of the trade that you do with China, regardless of what happened at Hambantota, the relationship with India is unique and the one that's going to last forever. And that obviously is visible, through these effortless and seamless visits that the heads of states, often conduct.
Thank you very much, Vineet, for inviting me. I mean, the visit of Narendra Modi is very significant. It's a significant chapter in Sri Lanka bilateral relations, as well as the neighborhood first policy, which was work which has been the key cornerstone as well as the bedrock of this relationship in the new dynamics. I mean, last year, when Sri Lanka was in crisis, $4 billion was given to Sri Lanka to stabilize its process. So the results are measured through that. I think Modi's visit plus the 7 MOUs that India signed with Sri Lanka is key. One of them is defense as well as power generation. And we are going to be connected to India through a high voltage line through Trichy to Anuradhapura, Mana, and Trincomalee. So this is also going to be a high turning point in the coming years. Business to business dealings as well as cultural legacies going back to 2,500 years is one of the main examples to the world when it comes to Sri Lanka, a small island, plus India, a big neighbor. That must think of. I mean, this is a great example in that sense. Yeah.
All right.
Sri Lanka has recovered well with the $4 billion backup coming from India from 2022. So you see, I mean, the results are to be seen with the Prime Minister's visit to Sri Lanka.
Mr. Pereira is also back with us. Mr. Pereira, I hope you can hear me now, sir. Mr. Pereira? Okay, this still seems to be. Okay, Sumit, coming back to you. The issue with China, of course, is something that cannot be exaggerated at this point in time. But can it be overlooked despite what India and Sri Lanka share? Or do you think that, there is that pinch of salt kind of a situation when it comes to talking about China in context to Sri Lanka and India?
I think, Vineet, now under Prime Minister Modi, the things have changed because you have to look at these two parts. What our friend was rightly mentioning, one is the energy pact, where in Sri Lanka, look, there's an energy problem in the country and that has been taken care of. Second is the defense. What I have been reading, whatever is in the public domain, is that it will be like a Bhutan kind of arrangement, where it will be responsible protecting the boundaries of Sri Lanka, and in the return, Sri Lanka will give us access to land, air, and sea wherever it is needed to protect our national interest. So it's a very, very clear-cut message to China. And I have been always advocating that, Sinhalese people are fantastic people, very hardworking people, and a beautiful country. So what we always needed, we needed to think beyond the box. We can't have this, aap yahan, main yahan. We have to think of together. So that togetherness in the relation is there. So India is stepping forward and putting a lot of things on the table. It's not only about money, it's not only about culture. And 2,500 years is a big time. I mean, 2,500 saal is a big time. And after that, our intention is very poor. What happened in the prime of crisis, Vineet, if you remember, we've been debating this. And in the COVID, who was the country to send vaccines to Sri Lanka? We did. In the peak of COVID and when the crisis was happening, when China was asked for the money, China sent $70,000. I mean, if I'm very sure you can write a check for that, Vineet. But the problem is that, this is how you handle a country. When we were not still called, we were not reached out to, and there was a complete fiasco. And even, I don't want to take the name, the president before that, before leaving, he signed that document wherein the Chinese ships could come and dock in Hambantota. I mean, I miss those heartburns, I miss those fiascos. Our resolve was very clear. We are committed to people of Sri Lanka. Politicians can come, politicians can go, and some politicians can have vested interests and some politicians can be even corrupted, which unfortunately happens in this world. But India should not be seen as China. Now, the people of Sri Lanka see that India's help, support, guidance, and our things are without any terms and conditions. We are not asking sign the blank paper, sign the stamp paper, then we'll send you the money. No, we send the money. Okay, even let's not forget there was a, if my memory serves me right, there was a $400 million of currency swap also, which we did before the $400 billion. So our intention and intent was always clear, but there were unfortunately some politicians which came to power, and rightfully then you see how many luxury cars were found in their palaces, which unfortunately got burned. I mean, I don't know where did the money come from. No marks for guessing where did it come from. Now with all those things happening, you can't blame the poor people. You can't blame the unfortunately the circumstances with that. But India showed the maturity. It did not exactly go the China way, though China wanted us to behave exactly like China, but India chose not to behave like China. India chose that, look, my Sri Lanka policy is first, and the kind of relation and the kind of goodwill which we have earned beneath for 2,500 years. Come with any amount of money. Come with $1 trillion. Do you think you can buy 2,500 years of goodwill and trust? You can't buy. The people will not trust you. You can buy over some politicians, you can have some influence. And we know China's influence was in Nepal one point of time, even Maldives there was some point of time, and in Bangladesh it's all fading out. So China always believes that they can buy over people. The problem with Chinese is they can buy over politicians, they can buy over people, and they can enslave people. That is the fundamental flaw there. While as we believe, do not give anybody fish. If you have to teach people, teach them how to fish. Let them be self-sufficient, let them be on their own. And I'm trying to make this point again and again, which I've been making for last couple of years. In Sri Lanka should really consider pegging their currency to Indian rupee, because by that logic, you will never ever be in problem. And if you open the doors of religion to religious tourism for Hindus only, just for Hindus, like Ayodhya, we are looking at 20 crore people beneath. And let me tell you the pre-COVID numbers of tourism in Sri Lanka. The pre-COVID numbers of tourism in Sri Lanka were 4.17 billion. How much does Thailand do? 65 billion. What are they doing right now? They're doing around 3.2 billion right now. So there is a $2-3 billion more which can go to them, even if the religious tourism is old. Ramayan corridor can be worked out. Things like that can be worked out. And look, yesterday Prime Minister Modi also went to IPKF Memorial. You know there are some political sensitivities back home. You know there are some challenges back home. But amidst that, he went to IPKF Memorial, he gave his respects to the brave hearts, and he cemented that friendship and that action which was not done by him, which was not done by BJP, but as an Indian Prime Minister, he went and did what his karma was. So there are all the gestures that India is moving ahead, India is stepping ahead, and India is trying to do what is in the best interest of both the nations. And the intention and the intent is very clear, Vineet. This has to be very carefully understood. And if you look at the debacle of Sri Lanka, why didn't Japanese debt impact them? Why didn't Indian debt impact them? Why was only a Chinese debt becoming a problem? Did Japan or even India try to take advantage of a situation? You are in a very bad situation. Do you try to take advantage of it? You don't. But why did Chinese try to take advantage of the situation? We all understand. And who wants those big Chinese ships to come and dock there? I think Sri Lankans don't want it, but there are some written compulsions which are there. But eventually, in due course of time, we have to let China go out. If China moves out of Sri Lanka, imagine a situation, Vineet. China moves out of Sri Lanka, say Sri Lanka is all good and fine, man. There's nothing to worry. They are our brothers and sisters. It's only after the China started getting into picture, economy, politicians, culture, and everything started getting corrupted. Even the relations with India. Imagine a phase there was no China in the picture. The relations were perfectly good. There was nothing wrong. So we want those relations back. And if religion tourism starts picking up, imagine 2-3 crore people visit, 1-2 crore people visit Sri Lanka for religious tourism. Sir, the revenues will go not 4.17 billion, it will cross $6 billion. So these are the things which are of highly impetus. They grow the best tea. They have some best rubber plantations. They grow a lot of things which we need. And get with our supply chains, get with our buying, selling. That's it. We are pretty much safe. We are pretty much home. And let's send a message to the world. Amidst being the size, amidst being no match in military power, but if intent and intentions are good, even after 2,500 years, even how many centuries and how many generations of leaders have gone, but the niyati and karma remains unchallenged and remains same. That is the message we can send to the world, and that is the message you send to the China, who always believes in expansion and expansion at every cost. And we believe in restoration and restoration at any cost. So that is the difference between them and us. You can argue they are also a very old civilization, but the civilization values, ethics, and ethos are completely different, Vineet. That is the message.
All right, fair enough, Sumit. We've run out of time. Appreciate your thoughts and appreciate everybody who joined us. Taking a short break now. We'll be back with more.